She thought it was just another ordinary pig, wandering off in search of better food. But when Clementine Ross followed the stubborn creature through the early morning fog, she stumbled upon something that could either save her family from ruining or destroy everything they had. The boy had barely crested the hills when Clementine realized that Bessie, their prized pig, had broken through the fence once again. Her father, Amos, would be furious. They couldn't afford to lose livestock now, with the bank threatening to take their farm next month. Clementine laced up her worn boots and slipped quietly out of the farmhouse before anyone else stirred. Bessie's tracks led away from the familiar pasture, deeper into the rocky hills behind their property. She had never gone this far before. Her father had warned her countless times to stay close to the house. "The hills beyond the fence are dangerous," he'd said, but desperation fueled her courage. Without Bessie, their family might have nothing left to sell. The trail wound through thick brambles and jagged rocks that loomed like walls. Thorns snagged her dress and scratched her arms. She could hear Bessie grunting somewhere ahead, but the echoes among the rocks made it impossible to tell where she was. Then, another sound reached her ears, low grown, unmistakably human. Clementine froze. Her heart pounded. She thought about turning back, leaving the pig behind and running home safely. But her family needed Bessie. They needed every single penny to survive. So, she pressed on, following the sound into a rocky maze. And that's when she saw him. Hidden in a natural cave formed by fallen boulders lay a man, badly injured. His clothes were torn, stained with blood, pale as frost. He struggled to breathe. Bessie sniffed curiously at something clutched in his hands, a small, worn leather pouch. Clementine's first instinct was to flee. Her father had drilled into her head never to trust strangers, especially ones who might be hiding from the law. But something about the man's condition made her hesitate. He looked more like he'd been abandoned by death than a threat. His eyes fluttered open, focusing on her with effort. "Please," he whispered, voice faint. "Don't tell anyone you found me." Clementine's mind raced. Who was he? Why was he hiding? And why did Bessie seem so interested in that leather pouch? The man's lips moved again. "Men. They're after me. They want what I found. I had to hide it somewhere safe." Clementine glanced at the pouch. She could make out the shapes of papers inside. "What's in there?" she asked softly. "Proof," he gasped, voice growing weaker. "Proof that your land, this land, is worth more than anyone knows." Her mind spun. Their farm was considered worthless, rocky, difficult terrain no one wanted. That's why the bank was so quick to push them into foreclosure. "You don't understand," he said. "There's a railroad company buying up land in this valley. They're using false names, paying pennies for properties that are worth fortunes. These papers, they expose everything." Clementine's pulse raced. A railroad line running through their valley? If true, their worthless farm could be worth a fortune. But why was this stranger helping her family instead of selling the information for profit? "My name's Boone Carter," he said, reading the questions in her eyes. "I used to work for them, helped plan the routes, but when I saw how they cheated families like yours, I had to stop. I couldn't stay silent." A distant shout froze them both. Clementine recognized her father's voice, calling for her. If he found her here with a stranger, there would be hell to pay. "I have to go," she said, rising. Boone struggled to sit up. "Wait. Take the papers. Keep them safe. Don't let anyone see them but your family. The railroad, they have eyes everywhere. They'll kill to keep this secret." Fear surged through her. What had she stumbled into? And what would these men do if they discovered she had the documents? Clementine tucked the pouch inside her dress and grabbed Bessie's rope. She needed to put distance between herself and the cave before her father arrived. She emerged just as Amos appeared with 2 men from town. Relief and anger warned across his face. "There you are. What were you thinking wandering off?" he demanded. "Bessie broke through the fence again, Papa. I had to catch her," she replied. "We need her too much." Amos studied the pig, then his daughter. Suspicion lingered. "Did you see anything unusual out there? Strangers?" Clementine's heart skipped. How could he know? Were they just looking for hero for Boone? Just rocks and thorns, Papa, that's all," she said, forcing uncertainty into her voice. Harrison, one of the men with Amos, stepped forward. "We heard there might be a dangerous man hiding here. Someone who's stolen from honest people. If you saw anything, you need to tell us." Clementine's blood ran cold. How much did they know? Harrison's predatory gaze made her feel like prey. She forced herself to appear calm. "I only saw Bessie," she said. Amos moved protectively closer. Harrison's eyes narrowed, unconvinced. "Sometimes, Miss Ross, fear makes people forget details. Remember anything and come and find me immediately." It's very important. She nodded. Yes, she would remember carefully. As she led Bessie back to the farmhouse, the search party fanned out across the hills. Clementine realized she had maybe 30 minutes before they discovered Boone. A desperate idea struck her. She grabbed the iron bell her father used to call workers and climbed onto the roof of the chicken coop. Ringing it wildly, she screamed, "Fire! Fire in the barn, Papa!" The search party scrambled toward the farmhouse. Amos's face was pale with panic. "Where's the fire?" he demanded. Clementine pointed toward an old storage shed. "Smoke! Over there!" The men ran, investigating, finding nothing. She hoped her ruse had bought enough time. Harrison's suspicion was palpable, but she kept her story simple. She had panicked. From this angle, it could happen. Once the men left, Clementine faced another problem. Her father had caught on. He knew something was hidden from him. She had to choose keep Boone's secret or risk everything by revealing it to save the family from deception. Taking a deep breath, she reached inside her dress and pressed the leather pouch into Amos's hands. "Papa." "There's a man hiding in the rocks, hurt badly. He gave me these documents. They prove the railroad is cheating families like ours. Our land isn't worthless, it's worth a fortune." Amos's eyes widened as he read. Survey maps, agreements, correspondence. Everything revealed the company's fraudulent dealings. "The Millers, the Johnsons, they've sold for a fraction of what it's worth," he said, anger and determination shaping his voice. "We're going to get him," Amos said finally. "Tonight, while Harrison and his men chase shadows, we'll save Boone and share the truth." Together, they brought Boone back to the farmhouse, cleaned and bandaged his wounds, and let him confirm the railroad's deceit. Over the following days, Amos shared the documents with the valley's farmers. A coalition formed. The railroad's attempt to cheat them collapsed. Harrison and his allies disappeared. 3 weeks later, Clementine watched surveyors mark boundaries for the new railroad line. This time, they weren't secretive agents. They were hired by the Farmers' Coalition to ensure fair payment. Boone testified in court, officials were arrested, and every family received what was rightfully theirs. The Ross farm, once considered worthless, was now worth enough to pay off debts and provide a fresh start. Clementine smiled at Bessie, rooting around happily. Following that stubborn pig had led her to the adventure and justice of a lifetime. Sometimes the smallest, most unexpected events can change everything. If you love this story, click the video on your screen to watch another thrilling Western tale filled with courage, secrets, and justice. Don't forget to subscribe and support us to bring more unforgettable stories like this to life.